So I am gonna, Sarah will send out this presentation after the presentation, so you don't have to scribble all this stuff down. But there's this website out there that you put in your password, and it kind of gives you an idea of how fast it takes to hack your password. So if you use a password like "I love dogs," right? So that's 9 characters long, seems long, but because it's called a dictionary attack, right? Because every word in it, everything in it is in the dictionary. And dictionary attacks are very easy to crack. There's a limited number of words in the dictionary, and with some supercomputers, you can get through those fairly quickly. So "I love dogs" takes 28 seconds to crack if the attacker has a fairly high-end computer. If you just add a single exclamation point at the end of that, right, it bumps it up to 2.3 days, which is pretty nice. Still not long enough, but it's amazing what one special character adds to it. In the next level, I just added 4 numbers to it. I moved the exclamation point to the beginning, but moved 4 numbers in it. And now you've got an unbreakable password. 15.7 thousand centuries to actually crack that password. And obviously nobody's gonna, spend that kind of time. And who cares if they do? You're not around at that point. So, and then the last one, I use a password manager. I've been using them for probably, 8 years. I set mine at, kind of like what I said in the beginning, uppercase, lowercase characters and symbols, or numbers and symbols. And I set mine at 20. So that is a password that was generated by my password manager, 11.5 thousand trillion centuries in order to crack that. So obviously, if you're a cyber attacker and you get my information from Yahoo, you're going to look at my password and say it's not even worth trying to hack. So the reality of things is when you hear that Yahoo's been attacked or Best Buy has been attacked, what happens is these attackers get access to the information, and these companies do their best to protect your information. They store your passwords in what's called a hash format, so it's kind of encrypted. And what the attacker has to do is then take that encrypted value, your password, and figure out how to now decrypt it. And they have tools to do that. And that's what this website is kind of showing. If they've got the proper tools, which most of them do, they can decrypt things fairly quickly if they're simple passwords. And so it's not that these companies are not trying to protect you. What the reality is you're not protecting you. You're not logging on to these websites with complex passwords that these hackers can ultimately not decrypt. And so I go back to the statement I said in the beginning. Cyber attack, a lot of the outcome of cyber attacks are really up to you and how complex you want your password to be. And as we get into it, with a password manager, it eliminates all of that. You don't have to remember things anymore. It's there, and it's 20 characters or however many characters you want to set it at. And it protects you from all of these other places that have ultimately been attacked. And we hear about attacks every day at this point, people getting attacked. I mean, even your electric company and other facilities are all getting attacked. So now let's talk about, let me just check the log. Let's just talk about password managers. So there's a whole bunch of good ones that are out there. I've listed a few here. I've personally have used TrueKey, Keeper, and MSecure. I currently use Keeper and MSecure, and I'll explain a little bit later on why I use 2. But all of these that are listed here have all won awards. They're all high-end encryption and very good systems to use. So again, I'm going to pass out this slideshow so you can look all of these things up. Many of them offer a free version. I highly recommend you don't use the free version. Most of the free versions are very limited. You can only store like 10 passwords and that's it. They, you know, they do offer some really nice features along with them. And so the first bubble that you see here, the main reason to use a password manager is to create a varied, strong password for every website and application that you use. The most important thing, you don't have to remember them once you've started to use a password manager. So, you know, you take that burden off of you. I mean, how many times do we go to a website and we try all the different combinations of passwords that we use, which, as I stated in the beginning, is the worst thing that you can do. You just let your password manager figure it out. And you know, what's really great is they embed themselves in your browser as an extension, and they embed themselves in your phone. So if you're on your phone and you go to a website or you go to an app and it asks for a username password, you generally click on a button and it pulls up that information out of your password manager. There's really nice integrations, you know, with both browsers and with mobile applications. So, you know, the center button bubble there is the autofill. No different than what, if you save your password on your browser, these do the exact same thing, just in a more secure way. Many of them offer other features like holding your credit card information. So again, you never have to remember what your Visa number is when you're going to buy something online. You can just extract it from your password manager. You can store your social security number, driver's license number, bank accounts. Many of them now allow you to take pictures like of your driver's license and store it in the system. They've become quite detailed in what they do. Yeah, so then some of the other ones on the bottom bottom left, it talks about identifying weak passwords. So a lot of the password managers, you can, I'll show you some screens of mine, will look at all your passwords and identify those that are weak, those that you've used in multiple places. You know, they'll help you kind of correct your passwords. And then most of them today, this is a relatively new feature of password managers, allow you to share your passwords with someone. So I share mine with my wife. It's something, if I were to be hit by a bus and my wife needed to get access to all my passwords, my software, through Keeper, allows her to log on and have access now to all my websites, all my passwords. So she has access to all of that information. So they have sharing capabilities, which I think are really nice in there.
Rob, we have 2 questions.
Okay, I use LastPass.
What's that?
I'm just reading them. Go ahead.
Okay.
It loads on the browser, but if I'm trying to log in on an app, it doesn't always pick up. For example, Zoom login on my computer. So I know I use an Apple phone, so I'm not all that familiar with the Android apps, but I know on the Apple phone there's a section in the configuration where you actually identify in your case, it would be LastPass, as your password manager. And then once you've done that, it has then integrated itself in with the phone. And anytime you're presented with a password, it then pops up. I'm pretty sure the Android system does the same thing. I know my kids have Android phones and they use M-Secure, and I know it integrates with them as well. So maybe there's a setting that you've missed. This is in response to Wendy, your question. For example, Zoom login on my computer. So when you log into Zoom on your computer, that's an app on your computer. It won't work on something like that. What you've actually got to do is go over to your password manager and copy your username and password. It doesn't integrate with Windows, right? So when an application loads in Windows, there's no access to that point. Most of these software packages do have an application you can run on Windows, and if you've run it, like I said, you can just toggle over to it and copy the username and password and pass it in. That's what I do in those particular cases. All right, Stefan, what happens if the password manager gets hacked? how probable does time you log into does word change each time you log into a site? So I've actually got a slide about that. That is, to me, the most common question asked about password managers is, do they get hacked? So I'll get to that in a minute. And you use the iPhone. Yeah. So Wendy, the problem is that Zoom is an application on Windows, and your password manager isn't integrated with Windows. So the only way to do that, and with any other app, is to cut and paste from your password manager to your application. All right. So this is an example of, as I said, I use Keeper as one of the apps. And so this is their audit. So they've gone in and they've said, well, 93% of my passwords are strong. And you know, it's funny, we don't really realize how many passwords we have. You know, like I said, we do everything online. As you can see on mine, I have 758 passwords in my password manager. Now, I've been using it for 8 years, and a lot of them are, you know, are no longer used. But, you know, over 8 years, I've had 758 passwords. I'm surely not going to remember them. It's saying that I've reused 67 of them, and that 33 of them are weak. And so it shows you here the strength and the weaknesses of, you know, of your passwords. And it, of course, allows you to go in and then correct them. The other thing that I mentioned is what's called breach watch. That's what Keeper calls it. Everyone else has their own term for it. But what it does is it takes your email, and there are facilities online where you can go to and determine if your email address has been breached. As a matter of fact, I'll show you a slide coming up about where you can go for us to do it. But these guys have some fairly complex algorithms. They go out, they check the dark web for every email you have, or every website that you've recorded in the system, and then tell you, has it been breached, and if you need to come in and change it. Now, I've got 47 that say I need to go in and change, and I've been lax. So the way that it works is, so Aer Lingus, I would log on to Aer Lingus, Keeper would help me change my password, and then I would need to come in here and hit resolve. I just haven't come in and hit resolve on many of these. So that's why they're still listed as breaches that I need to change. But it's a really nice feature. I mean, sometimes you got to pay for these services. These are all incorporated into these password managers. So just really another feature to kind of help you along with it. Password manager facts. So this kind of gets into that question that you had asked about security, right? So your password manager is only as good as your login password, right? So if you use 1234 as your login to your password manager, you know, ultimately somebody could hack that. If you use a very strong password for your login manager, you're now, again, kind of the whole discussion, right, we've been having, you're now protecting yourself. And it's obviously got to be a password that you remember. So I would recommend some kind of a phrase that that helps you remember it. I graduated from Clark University in the early 80s. Maybe you know, you have a password that's like Clark grad in the year, exclamation in the front, exclamation in the back, you know, something like that. That's a phrase you'll remember with 2 characters on it in a year. That you remember, that produces a nice strong password. I'll talk a little bit more about it as well. But the other thing is a password manager is not going to help you if all you do is put in the same password for every website you go to. You still haven't solved, you know, the issue of complex passwords. So once you get a password manager, you got to start using it, and you've got to start using its ability to generate strong, long, complex passwords to use. All right. So don't use the same old tired password for every website. You've defeated the whole purpose of a password manager. Okay. Have you been hacked over the 8 years you've used password manager? So have I been hacked over the past 8 years? I know that I have been, I know that companies that I've been part of have been hacked. I personally have never been hacked. I've never had my email hacked. I have had my credit card hacked, but that's different because when they hack the Bank of America, that's where one of my credit cards is. They have access to my credit card number and the other details. And so a password there isn't how I got hacked. They didn't hack my account, they hacked Bank of America. And they got access to my credit card number. But other than that, I have never had an email hack in the 8 years that I've been using it, and even the other years. As I said, my background is in technology. My house is locked down like you wouldn't believe, with firewalls and unique networks, so that, you know, if somebody were to attack my house, they're not going to get at me as well. So, but having strong passwords, as I said in the beginning, is really your number one defense from cybersecurity. All right, so our password manager is secure. There's a lot of information on this screen here, some of it being technical. I'll let you read it when we hand the slides back. But the bottom line is that these companies use the highest level encryption and security to protect your information. And they use what's called zero knowledge security architecture. And what that implies is that even the people of, let's just go with Keeper, even the people of Keeper can't get access to my information. It is stored in a high level encryption that employees of the company cannot even get access to. Not only do these companies store things at that level, they separate out your username and password with your actual data. Two separate servers stored in two different parts of the world. So that if one happened to get hacked, the other is still protected. So this is about the highest level of security that you can ask for. But again, like I highlighted in red there, much of it is dependent upon the level of complexity of your username and password to your password manager. And what I also recommend is use multi-factor authentication with your password manager. So not only do you have a complex password that you've got to key in when you load your password manager, you also now have to respond to something on your phone saying, yep, this is me trying to log in. And multi-factor authentication is a fabulous tool in protecting, you know, your identity, your security. Anytime that you can use it, I highly recommend using it. It's a pain in the neck, but it's you know, it's well worth doing it. And obviously for your password manager, you want to have a fairly secure system. You want to lock it down as much as you can. A lot of these password managers, they have settings in them, like how often they'll time out on you. You know, every 60 seconds or every 60 minutes, if there's no activity in your browser, it logs itself out. You can change all of those settings. For my desk PC at my house, I don't have it so that I have to log in every day. I have it so that every 30 days I have to re-log in to validate myself. If you're working with a phone or a laptop, you want to have that at least at a minimum every day, logging out and having to retype your password, just because those devices are susceptible to being stolen. So you don't want to have your laptop stolen, have your password manager unlocked, and, you know, then people can just go into your browser and you know, have access to everything. So it depends on, you know, on the actual technology that you're using, but that's, you know, for you to work through with your daily workflows. There's this website here, haveibeenpawned.com. This is the one where you can go in and put your email address, and it'll tell you what companies you use that email with and if they've been hacked. So I went in and I put in mine. I got more than 5. I just put 5 logos on here, but, you know, Adobe, Dropbox, Under Armour, Canva, and on my phone, Words with Friend. have all been hacked. My email address, my IP address, my password, and my username have all been compromised. So again, what does that mean? If I've got all of these companies do encrypt my password, but again, if I have a very simple password, these cybersecurity folks can get by that with tools and techniques. And if it's a weak password, they'll figure it out, and then they get access to these accounts. And then, like I said, it just kind of snowballs from there. Then they try a whole bunch of different things with that same username and password, and try to spider their way into your life. So this is a great website to go test your email. It's smart to use a VPN as well. I'll get to that in a minute. We no longer just go online, we live online. It's the reality, right? Everything we do, we grab our phone, we grab our laptops or desktops. We're doing everything online today. So it is vital that you figure out a way to protect yourself the best you can. Cybersecurity is a very real thing, and it can be a very costly thing. Just a simple thing, right? So my Visa card, as I said, was hacked just recently. Well, I had 20 accounts that I had saved my passwords with my Visa accounts with, because I like the convenience of having them auto pay every month, right? So I had to go all 20 of those accounts, retype in a new a Visa card. So it happens to us. It happens to us on a regular basis. The Visa companies are really good at identifying fraud. So as soon as the fraud was detected, they shut down my card, and in a couple of days I had a new card. So they're very good at that. But my point is that cybersecurity is a very real thing. And your number one defense is having a very strong password. And as I said in the beginning, free is not your friend with cybersecurity. Free implies what it is, right? People they're not going to spend a lot of money on people who provide free tools. Don't spend a lot of money on it. It's probably not the highest level of encryption and security that you want. When you're dealing with cybersecurity, pay for services. Pay for a virus software package, pay for, a password manager, and anything else that you're using to protect yourself, pay for it. It's from a business perspective, save your business, spend the money, and pay for it. I'll touch on Karen, your question on, is it smart to use a VPN as well? So VPNs are just a whole different concept, right? The whole idea with a VPN is it creates a private tunnel between your device and where you're ultimately going. So VPN started in the world of business, where people were VPNing into their office, and then once you've done that, you then have access to all of the equipment and technology within the office. Now VPNs are offered on our phones and on our laptops just to browse the web. And so again, the concept there is that it creates kind of a private path between you and your destination. Without that, let's just say you're sitting in a coffee shop and you log on to their free Wi-Fi. If they haven't taken significant measures to make that a secure network, your signal and your traffic is all open for people to hack it and get after it. If you're using a VPN in that scenario, they can't see it. It like puts a shield around your data as it travels out. So do I think VPNs are good? Yes, I do. I don't personally use one. I also don't personally ever go on a free Wi-Fi. The technology today on our phones, especially with 5G, we really don't even need Wi-Fi anymore. Use your cell signal, and yes, it does eat up your minutes and your data, but a cell signal is so much more secure than hopping on a public network. It's very easy to hack someone. You go into a hotel. Hotels, I should say, are getting much better at protecting and using technology to protect people. But 10 years ago, I could go into a hotel, log on to their network, and gain access to hundreds of PCs that had logged into the network. Having a tech background, I knew how to do it, and I would go look and it'd be amazed at what I would have access to. Never did anything. Full disclosure, never downloaded anything or touched anything. I just would always check. And that's the same thing. You go into a coffee shop, they're not technologists. They've thrown up a Wi-Fi network that they bought at Best Buy or bought on Amazon. They're not spending a lot of time and money in securing that for you. Probably not the best thing to hop onto. Can you explain what threat is presented by free Wi-Fi network? So I think I just read that now, but I think I just answered that question. If I haven't, just let me know and I'll try to expand on that. Any more questions, Sarah?
Not in the chat.
I think I've
If
got
anybody wants to put themselves on video and ask any questions, we won't bite.
Yeah, so like I said at the beginning, I only had about a half hour's worth of stuff. You can only talk about this so much. Password managers, I think, are great. Oh yeah, one other thing, I did say that I use two different ones, and there's really no logical reason why I do it. I just do it. As I said, password managers can also store social security numbers, bank accounts, and Visa cards. I use one platform for non-username passwords and one platform for that other information, social security numbers, bank accounts, and Visa cards. I don't know, in my mind, I just feel as though the separation's a good thing if one happened to get hacked, though near impossible. The other is protected. It's just me being paranoid, I think. But that's what it is. I actually started off with MSecure. I really liked the platform, but then it didn't expand and grow as fast as some of the other technologies. It didn't have the capability of embedding into a browser at the time. So then I hopped over to Keeper, and I've really liked Keeper. MSecure has since now incorporated all of the other features that are out there. So it is still a good product.
Rob, I think Wendy has a question.
Okay.
Hi, thank you. This is very interesting because I signed up for LastPass and I see the power, but getting it set up is adding some challenges for me.
Okay.
So I'm in there now. I've got 46 weak reused or at-risk passwords. I'm like, oh my, that's going to take quite a bit of time to go in, log out, change the password, and do all that. So it sounds like I should do that and use the password that LastPass suggests.
Yep. And there's settings on all of them. Like there's usually like, how many characters do you want? Do you want to include, special characters or not? Because some websites will say, you can only have 15 characters and you can't use special characters, or you can't use all the special characters. So all of these password managers do allow you to kind of tailor what that actual password is that it generates. But I always, if a site says you can only use 15, I make sure I use 15.
Okay, so I have an assistant that comes in. We're a virtual company. I have an assistant that comes in. She's coming in. Can I ever sit at my computer and do this for me?
You can. Yep. Yeah, and they usually they're usually really good at recognizing when you log into a website and you click on change password. They usually recognize that you're doing that and present you with changing the password and updating your record. So they make it a little bit easier for you. I mean, but yeah, that's the whole concept is, those passwords that you have in there that are weak are probably passwords you've created and use over time. You just want to replace them with gobbledygook, that have, like the one I showed you that was 20 characters long. That's what all my passwords look like. I no longer use phrases or birthdays or anything like that. I just use what it is. The only phrase that I use is for my password manager. And it's a phrase I'll remember with a 4-digit year on it and a couple of special characters. So to me, that's the only thing I have to remember.
Okay. And then I got a notification that something was my parkmobile.io, which I rarely use, has been hacked through the dark web.
Yep.
And how in danger, and it was probably a reused password.
Right. So, whenever you get a notification like that, you should log in immediately to your account and reset your password, and use one of these strong encrypted passwords. Because a lot of times when these hackers go in and they breach a company like that, a lot of times they'll just get the database and then they sell it, so it could be months, years before someone actually tries to hack into your system using the information that they acquired. So as soon as you get notification, you should immediately go in, change your password, and more than likely you're fine at that point. No one's really tried to get into your account. I mean, you think about it, when, like I said, Yahoo's been hacked at least 3 or 4 times. There are millions of accounts that are on there. The likelihood that they've picked yours and are trying to log into you are pretty small. Granted, it happens and it will happen eventually, because they take these databases and they run them through these supercomputers to try to hack usernames and passwords. Once they've been successful, then they go into your account and work on it. And like I said, sometimes it could take weeks, months, years for someone to actually try to use the information that they've acquired.
Okay, so since I did nothing about it since January 25th, maybe I'll beat them.
Maybe.
It's done now.
Yeah.
Okay. And then any hints on sharing the password with other people? Because I've tried to do that before and it clunked, or it doesn't happen immediately, and then we didn't get back to look at it.
Yeah. Did you try to do it through LastPass? Yeah, I haven't done a lot of trying with that. I know that the capability is out there. A lot of them, which I don't particularly like, they actually put timers on it. If you don't do anything within a certain period of time, the capability to share goes away, or the request to share goes away. And even if the request is accepted, it's only valid for 30 days or 60 days or 3 months. They put time limits and bounds on it. So I don't have a lot of experience there, knowing that. I've read numerous times that people use it, love it, and it's worked. I just personally haven't tried it, other than sharing my entire account with my wife. Has she ever tried to come in? Probably not. So, but it's there.
Okay.
I do see a question out there. So it says, so the password managers do not create a new password for you each time you log in. That is correct. They do not. Does something exist like that? I am unaware of anything. I've never looked into that technology. So I don't know of anything that that does that. But I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm sure there's something out there that does exist that does that. Do you have a specific need for something like that? So I'm a little curious as to why you're looking for something like that. Sarah has sent out a link for just a quick survey. There's a QR code on the screen for the survey as well. If ever you've got questions and just want to shoot a question to me, please shoot me an email and be more than happy to help you with that. As I said in the beginning, and maybe some of you weren't on, every first Thursday of the month at noontime, we run a series called Tech Talks with Rob. Those are just kind of an open mic seminar. You can join anytime during the hour, ask your question, and I'll do my best to answer. We feel as though it's a great resource for folks Some of you are surely not from the technical world. Your business is something very different. Come ask me a tech question. I'll do my best to answer it for you. I've got a fairly large background in technology and know many of the questions. I'm sure there's going to be some that you're going to stump me on, but that's a free service that's available. And like I said, if you need an immediate question, shoot me an email. Be more than happy to answer that for you. Just thinking, I'm still unclear on what can be accessed by others through a free Wi-Fi network. Could you reiterate? So the thing with free Wi-Fi networks is, number one, you don't know what level of security that they've provided on the network, right? So there's all kinds of technology out there, but it costs money and it's expensive. So a coffee shop is traditionally not going to, invest in high-end equipment to protect your data. So, it's just like your house, right? You have a Wi-Fi network in your house. All of you join that network. There's very little technology there that says, if I join that network, I can't get to your PC. Every PC, any device that registers on a network has it's called an IP address. I have tools that scan the network for IP addresses. There are technology that you can use to actually then, with that IP address, access the machine. So I can get to your hard drive. And if you haven't protected your system, I can get access to things on your files on your hard drive. Aside from that, there's also the traffic. If you go to your bank while sitting in a coffee shop, and you go to that bank and you log in with your username and password, as you type on your machine and it travels to the internet, right? That's called in transit. I forget what the actual term is, but as it's traveling out of this free network, there are tools that are available to grab that information and record it. All right. So again, if these are not secured networks, and you have no idea when you walk into any facility if it's a secure network or not, if somebody's sitting on that network and has the appropriate tools, they then can capture the information that you've typed on your keyboard and sent to the internet. So they've now gotten your username and password for your bank because you just logged into that. So, that's probably one of the biggest dangers of free, Wi-Fi networks. If you go into an airport, more than likely they've invested the money to secure the network. So there, like I said, there's a bunch of technology out there that kind of isolates everyone who's on the network. It says basically nobody can see anybody. All right. And that then provides you with that layer of security. But as you walk into stores that provide free Wi-Fi, you really don't know what level of protection that they've purchased for your system. So like I said, if I go into my grocery store and they've got a free Wi-Fi, why would I connect to it? I have good cellular system signal while I'm in there. I do everything on my phone, and I don't connect to their Wi-Fi. I don't trust that, they've invested the right amount of money to protect my information as it travels over the internet. Just thinking.
I don't know if Kaya Rima has a question. She has.
I do. So in the event where you've connected to a free Wi-Fi, at least I know with my phone that each time I go to that area, it will just hop on there.
Yep.
How do I disconnect myself off it?
Once you're on that network, you can forget it. There's an option in your network, in your Wi-Fi settings, to forget the network. And once you forget it, it no longer hops back on it.
All right. Thank you.
Sure. Just thinking of something like bank secondary logins that change each time. I'm not familiar with those, but yeah, as I said, I don't know of any tools that automatically do that for you. And that's the ability to have a new password every time you log in. Any other questions?
Such a quiet little group today.
It is, yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Is your email in chat wrong? Did you give the wrong email?
Oh my
Sarah?
God, I did. Sorry, I was missing a letter. Let me fix that. There we go.
Clack.
Clark. Thanks, Karen. Sorry about that.
It's also on the screen spelled correctly.
Oh, be quiet.
And like I said, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And like I said, we have that platform, Tech Talk with Robs. You can go to techtalkwithrobs.com and kind of see the schedule. And we also record all of them. And I'm a little behind right now in episodes, but I do post all the episodes out there as well. So you're more than welcome to join those if you like. All right, that's all I got for today. I appreciate all of you coming, and it's been a pleasure, and hope to see you back soon on some of the other webinars that we offer. In the survey, there's a question about, other webinars that you'd like to see. Please, enter whatever you'd like to, engage in. Whatever you feel would be a good webinar. We'd be more than happy to either do it ourselves or find an expert in the area and do that for you. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, and have a good day. All right, how do I stop recording?